which I don't talk about. Okay? Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. Today we're talking about awakening to the divine within. And what that implies is you're the divine within, which is almost blasphemy for certain people. But understanding who you really are is one of the major steps in the religious and personal identity of the human being. Now, Jesus said, "These things I do, ye shall do another things," okay, in John. However, do we really believe it? No. Because we are so deeply embedded in this physical form called the body that we have forgotten it and we don't know it. As a matter of fact, there seems to be an energy that occurs that stops us from really learning who we are unless we go through certain techniques. So it seems to be part of the human foible, if you will, that we have a set of rules that have come down to us over the years based upon what man thinks or human thinks is good. So anyway, I agree that we are all working towards standards created by the people outside of us. Okay? And we get it from our parents, from our schools, from our religion, from our political bringing, from our culture, from our next door neighbor, God bless us, yes. And depending upon what you get when you're a child, that's how you act it out. Okay? And there's a part of us that we are told is spiritual. And that part of us that's spiritual is energy, because spiritual means energy. So the minute you say spirit, and the Bible does say that spirit is, God is spirit. Okay? And must be known that way, and which means we are spirit because we're created in the image of the likeness. So there's a big difference between being spirit and being form. Okay, now, here we go. Okay, so this metaphor of the butterfly came to me, and I'm going to go over here. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is Paul's statement in Corinthians. So here we are, working with an idea from material form. So we're sitting in a chair. Who made the chair that you're sitting in? Man. Would you agree? You know, we could be sitting on whatever. Why do we sit on chairs the way they are? Because that's what's come down to us. And we also decide what kind of chairs we like or don't like. And some of us, the seat's a little bit hard right now, so we're thinking, should be softer. Whatever it is, we have all these things that we make, decisions we make based upon standards that are set outside of us. And we've been taught this is what we should do in the physical form. Okay? The metaphor of the Bible, the butterfly, is fascinating to me. So the question is, how do I conform to the pattern of this world, being transformed by the renewing of your mind? How do I renew the mind? In other words, there's no direction there in renewing the mind. What do I do? How do I handle it? What do I do to change from where I am to where I want to be? Because the Bible and the Jesus talking and the Christian teaching talks that there is a place we'll call heaven or nirvana or whatever. Anybody understand? Every religion has their own name for that place of everything's wonderful. Okay? And we're all in every culture working towards that place we call nirvana. And how do we get there? Next thing he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said, this is the key that everything works. Okay, so love is not something we understand in the material world. Anybody agree with that? As a matter of fact, we have changed it in the word I'll call it. This is our word lust. Okay. So, how do you express love? So it's a total different state of being. So we're going to the next thing. Faith is the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So it's a belief that these things are true. Okay, so to break the bonds of where we are now, stuck in the cycle of lack and disease and relationship problems and war. And anybody agree with all this stuff that's floating as part of the physical form that we're in? Anybody familiar with jealousy? Anybody familiar with, you know, what did I do? Okay, so how do I break those bonds and transcend them? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So there must be a secret in that. Okay, yes? If I really stop and think about it. Now the problem is, we have not been trained in the physical body to understand that. Because love is an energy. It's not a form. It's not a thing that I can touch or smell or taste. It's totally amorphous, without body, without sense, without anything. Okay? So it has to be a totally different way of approaching it. I cannot approach it from the physical stuff. And look at the butterfly. Okay? You see that caterpillar? It has its own beauty, but is it really nice something? We see caterpillars, we think, oh, we step on it. Okay? No, if you're a true Buddhist, you won't do that. Stop and think about it. Is it gracious? Is it lovely? Is it something you want to invite into your life? And see, that's a metaphor for where we are in the physical form. Do you get it? And here we are struggling in the physical form to create something in the spiritual form. And the transition has not occurred because it's a totally different way of approaching the world. It's a spiritual energy, it's not a physical form. And we cannot believe that an energy can create something that I need in the physical form. Because it's beyond my comprehension, beyond my belief. Because I've been called crazy. Like, no, you're nuts. Pollyanna, you think everything's going to work out. Yep. Because it's a different energy. Okay? So now you come down here, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So, stop and think about a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Okay, the caterpillar, we don't know what motivates it to do this, but it stops and it finds a place to hang out, creates a chrysalis around it, which is cocoon, and then it transforms mysteriously, mystically. And it takes a period of time and it creates a new being. It's absolutely a new function. It has legs, which it didn't have before. It has wings, which it didn't have before. It has sensors, and it creates a new existence. And it lives a totally new life, which it didn't even know before. It had no understanding of what it was. And all of a sudden, boom. And that's the metaphor for the difference between the physical world we live in and the spirit that we really are but have forgotten. Okay? So faith is the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And as the caterpillar, do we see the butterfly? No. We can't believe it. All we can do is look at the butterfly and say, well, isn't it pretty? Now the butterfly just kind of floats around. Ready, ready? It doesn't even plan on, as far as I understand, where it's going. It just floats. It floats. And does it live? Yeah. It finds its way to flowers. It finds its way to destinations. I understand that the monarch butterfly cover thousands of miles and congregate again in Mexico. And how do they do that? The innate spirit within them guides them, which is the promise that we have as a, you ready, child of God. But we cannot accept that phrase because it's too far like the butterfly. Okay, so who am I? Now, what's happening to me is this will be published in May or June, so you're going to have to hang on. Okay. And I just want to read some of it to you. Okay. Now, Madeline doesn't like it when I read, but you need to hear this. Okay. And these are words of Jesus, and he's saying here, love will conquer all. Okay, so what is love? Love will conquer all. When you approach your life from a place of love, kindness, and inclusion, then peace and joy follow. So what is love and joy? It's an effusive. It's an energy that radiates. How do you like it when somebody around you is joyful? Do you pick it up? It's an energy that transmits itself. That's why when you walk in here, things feel good. Okay? How many of us live like that 24 hours a day? See, I'm not going there. Okay? And then it goes on, when you approach life from a place of love, kindness, inclusion, and peace and joy follow. When you approach your life from a place of love, all that follows will expand your spiritual energy. Now, what's happening, if you look around you, everybody agree things are changing? You see, the energies are going, we've been promised for years that the energies are shifting and going higher and higher and higher. Okay, and what's happening is, as the energies go higher, things are changing. More and more people are waking up. Okay, it's like, hello, why did I put up with all this in my life? Okay, stop and think about it. The average life of the average individual in the United States is much higher than it was before. Now, do we still have people at the poverty level? Sure. However, that level is much higher now. It really is. Are we getting to the point where we're starting to solve some of the racial issues and some of the other issues we deal with? Yes. Is it perfect yet? No. And the more people that accept the new energies and learn how to fly like a butterfly, the more our culture will change and things are start happening. Things are accelerating now faster than they ever have. Agree? Okay, I don't know about you, but I can remember, and I'm going to date myself, but I can remember a next door neighbor got TV and the whole neighborhood was nuts about it. Okay? And it was a little round tubey thing. And God blessing the grandfather of the man next door that was living with them, he was all upset because there were witches in the box. Do you understand how far we've come? I can remember also when we got involved in some of these things, a friend of ours got involved in cell phones, and it was one of the big remember the blocks? Okay, and she was all excited because she was the only one that was able to sell these cell phones. Okay, how far have we come in that period of time? Okay, how far have we come spiritually in our search for oneness? Now, Tommy and MJ did a great job last week. Would you agree?
Yes.
They really did. Tommy brought up prosperity, and MJ, God bless her, along with Robin, did a great job of meditation, and they're going to do it again. We have another speaker coming up next month, that's Valerie. Okay, so there's going to be another duo. Okay, but the idea behind it is, what are the gifts of spirit? Prosperity. What else?
Love.
Health.
Love.
What?
Love.
Love. Relationships. Harmony. We talk about divine order. What is divine order? Life works for everybody. Now, is that a pipe dream? See, does the butterfly worry about any of that stuff?
No.
The butterfly just floats and enjoys life. So what is the possibility for us as a spiritual being, and it's up to us to change that butterfly from the caterpillar, which is worrying about lack, which is worrying about health, which is worrying about all the other things of this humanness, and gets over and understands how to become a spiritual entity. And there are more and more people breaking through in that conversation. This book is a big, big step for me. It's beautiful. It really is. And I hope you guys do 3 or 4 book studies on it, okay? Because it's bringing together everything that I've been reading now for 10, 20 years. And I should keep reading. When you allow fear, judgment, anger, or hatred to enter your life, your energy will contract and your life's purpose will be unfulfilled. So you're either expanding or contracting by what you think. Now, that's been the basic conversation for unity for years, but it has been put that it's your job to do this. There isn't, in other words, you're divine. You're the expression of God. I'm the expression of God. And it's up to me to be like the butterfly or the caterpillar. Okay? And so it's my job to spend the time I need in meditation, to spend time with folks like you, to read the books, to do all the stuff. And to invite love into our world. Anybody familiar with the word compassion? In other words, when you look out, do you see somebody sick and poor, or do you see somebody as a child of God? See, even that's a conversation. What are we doing? And am I spending, really taking the time to do a meditation process? It's interesting. I sometimes wonder what has happened that I haven't done more meditation work with you folks. But I feel there's so much work out there that it's like the Joe Dispenza, there's a lot of new things coming in that you have to make the choice to do it. And join a meditation program. Find one that works. In other words, we've got to stop relying on somebody to do something for us and to accept the responsibility and understanding that we are the caterpillar and to become the butterfly. It's my choice, it's not yours. Your choice is not mine. So it's an interesting conversation, and I'm feeling this need to get this message out, okay? Because things are changing so quickly, and look at what's happening on a national level and an international level. Anybody agree? On an international level, we got tinderbox out there. Everything will explode at any time, and it won't because Spirit's hand is here. But the only way for change to occur is things to change. And so things have to go into chaos for change to occur. So I'm looking at, and I've been talking about energies getting more higher and higher. Well, I'm starting to see it now. And if you really stop and think about it, agree, everything's on an edge, okay? Excuse me, most things are on an edge. She doesn't like me to include all of us. There are some people that are on top of this. But anyway, the point is that there is a way, and that way is love. And the word love is not in the physical vocabulary. The word love is only in the spiritual category. And love is not something I accept. Love is something I give. I put out. And I take the time to understand. I take the time to talk to people. I take the time to understand somebody that I don't understand and ask them questions. Hey, instead of making, anybody familiar with snap judgments? There's always a way behind everything. And it's taking the time to say, okay, I love you, what's going on? Okay? So, my heart is I have shared what I came to share, I guess, this morning. Okay?
Basically what you're saying is the transition is basically like if you ever watched the movie The Flight of the Phoenix. And I recommend that because it's probably been a big inspiration in my life.
Good. See, there's things that are inspiration.
But, you know, you can get a lot of your inspiration from certain movies and everything.
Okay, now, where I am, I have divorced I watch movies.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stay in the physical. Everything is inside.
Right.
The kingdom of heaven is within. So I am. My wife is getting annoyed at me because I'm getting rid of my books. I'm getting rid of everything.
Right. But what I'm saying is, it's a real good study on man and what you'll do when that change comes and how people react to it. Because it's about an airplane that goes down and they have to rebuild it with all the parts that they have there. It's sort of like a church. And, you know, they have all these people on there and they're all giving their 2 cents a year.
Everybody's part of the game.
While Edward's talking, I wanted to thank Edward and Victoria for a lovely visit we had with them this week. You're so gracious. And thank you.
We do visit.
Yeah.
You can use it.
It was a wonderful visit.
Yeah,
Okay.
they live in Shangri-La, that's what they do. I used to come Shangri-La. Val?
It's just interesting about the metamorphosis from the caterpillar to the butterfly because it's a real specific process and it takes time.
Yes.
Now we know some things don't take time. We know some things are instant because that's how spirit works. But in this process, we had some black swallowtail caterpillars that a couple of years ago came to visit us, and we got an aquarium and we got all this stuff because we wanted to see it happen. And it was really interesting, and we knew from research that we couldn't mess with it. Like we couldn't, that once they start coming out,
Yeah.
it's a struggle, and they have to go through that struggle to get strong. The butterfly has to, it's a process, and it's an effort, and it's miraculous, but you can't make them try to fly too early, or you can't, you've got to just let the lid off the aquarium
Still
and let
physical.
them go when they're ready. And so that inner process of the work that we do, the meditation that we do, the really core part of the whole process to becoming that butterfly is there, and it's a thing. But then Serene was talking about how like she just experienced something that was really transformational, but she did the work. She did the work. She went and she looked at what was inside of her, and then she just got elevated to a whole new level. And so the possibility of what can happen from us becoming this caterpillar to this butterfly, the change, and all the stuff that's happening in the world. I love what you said, because maybe this stuff obviously needs to happen.
It
This
is
stuff
the thing-
obviously needs to
It
be
is the
uncovered.
things that we don't like that are forcing us to look at.
Yeah.
So if I don't like somebody, there's something there for me to learn. And I've
About
got to get off to this.
About
base.
ourselves, right?
Yeah.
About ourselves.
Most of the time, it's something I do that I don't like in them. Yes, comfort.
Yeah, I'm looking at the butterfly you have. I'm looking at the verses of the Bible that you allowed us to see. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes.
And then the next one says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then the faith. I'm looking at the section of the butterfly, and looking at the words of Christ Jesus. And I'm saying the butterfly is one we see being, whatever you call it, and then being in the cocoon and being able to get out. But also, I think the first thing is the faith. Faith is the confidence in what we hope for.
That's the key.
And when you look at it, I think about the seed we plant. When we put seed inside the hole we put, or the ground wherever we may put the seed, we forget about it. That's a lot of confidence. You forget about it, but deep within you, you know it's going to germinate.
That last phrase,
Yes.
things not seen.
Yes, things not seen. And you cannot put a piece of, call it a seed of corn, and then every now and then you want to dig it out and see whether it's doing what it's supposed to do. You just
Yes.
let go.
Yes.
And recently in my life I have been focusing on remembering who I am.
Yes.
before I was formed. I also think of the word effortlessly. Just like I'm speaking with you, I don't have to even think about it. It just comes out. How come I'm able to do that? Or if I want to take my hand like I did now, I don't at all want to think about it. I want that stage where I can get myself to remembering who I am.
Believing things not seen.
Yeah.
Keeping the faith known.
And be able to do things effortlessly,
Yeah.
which is speak with the Spirit and allow myself to know that every other thing will follow, instead of trying to learn. And I know I'm not originally English, but here I am, speaking it effortlessly, having this class with you effortlessly. I never doubted.
That's key, that's good. And see, that Tommy last week was talking about prosperity, and prosperity occurs without thinking about it, as long as I do the work. Okay? Thank you. And see what happens, the ego mind wants to hang on, so it's going to create the doubts and tell us, hey, you can't believe, you can't see it, so it's not there. So that's where that counter force comes from. So love is seeing only the Christ self or who I am. Because if I really believe I am an expression of God, what would I do? Okay. I'm reminded of who was the lady on, they used to wiggle her nose and things would happen.
Samantha Stevens.
Yeah. But we we really have to ask the Father within, He knoweth the work. Okay? So, which is so hard for us to believe, and that's going into love and knowing, staying there is going to produce it sooner or later, even though I don't see it. And that's the part that says, oh my God. By the way, I have a prosperity demonstration for you. Terry's going to hand these out. These are calendars, okay? And this is unity calendars for next year. Yay! You want me to shut that off? Okay. So I love you. Say goodbye. This is the